What if I told you that some of your neighbors are completely off the grid? And I don't mean out in the middle of nowhere. I'm talking right here, right in normal suburban neighborhoods with strict HOA rules, manicured lawns, and daily Amazon deliveries.
Picture a totally normal street. From the outside, everything looks perfectly standard, but hidden behind the scenes, some families are quietly cutting all ties with utilities from the city. No utility bills, no water company, and honestly, sometimes no one even notices. So how on earth are they doing it? And why are so many people quietly choosing to disconnect without ever leaving suburbia? You know, when most of us hear off-grid, we immediately picture a cabin in the woods or maybe a survivalist stockpiling beans. But a rapidly growing group of people is completely rewriting that idea. They're living everyday suburban lives, but they are building private, entirely self-sufficient systems for their electricity, their water, their food, and their waste. They aren't trying to disappear from society. They just want to depend on it a whole lot less. Let's dive right into this explainer and see how they pull it off. Section 1. Silent power. Beating the grid.
Okay, so let's start with electricity. It's usually the entry point for going off the grid. But the biggest hurdle in suburbia actually isn't the technology itself. It's surviving your neighborhood's strict noise ordinances. Traditional gas generators are just a nightmare in tight neighborhoods. They run at an ear-splitting 70 to 90 decibels, pump out toxic emissions, and usually require poured concrete pads. Plus, local safety codes often say they have to be 20 feet from a structure. In the suburbs, that might put your incredibly loud generator right under your neighbor's bedroom window. So people are completely bypassing those loud setups. Instead, they're swapping them out for silent, indoor lithium iron phosphate battery stations. These things are amazing. They run at under 30 decibels, have zero emissions, and best of all, they are fully HOA compliant. Why? Because the HOA's jurisdiction usually stops right at your front door. People are secretly setting up massive battery banks in their basements or garages, storing enough energy to run their homes for days. But how are they charging those batteries if they can't get architectural approval for massive solar panels on their roofs? Well, for those folks, plug-in balcony solar panels offer a brilliant, completely legal workaround. It's known as stealth solar. These are small setups, usually just 1 to 4 panels, that literally plug right into a standard wall outlet. They quietly chip away at a home's baseline power consumption, offsetting anywhere from 15 to 25% of their energy use. That's enough to run refrigerators, Wi-Fi routers, and electronics. It's a simple, modular way to slowly stop paying the electric company. And if you're wondering if this is just a fringe hobby, it's really not. Consider this number, 700,000. By 2024, Germany alone had over 700,000 of these stealth balcony solar units quietly feeding power into apartments. It's an absolutely massive number that proves the desire for decentralized power is turning into a huge global shift. Section 2. Harvesting and hiding water. Hydration off the radar. Now let's talk about water. That's the utility most people assume you absolutely cannot escape. But suburban off-gridders are getting incredibly creative to control exactly how much water they pull from the city. Believe it or not, some homeowners are literally pulling drinking water right out of thin air using atmospheric water generators. Take a heavy-duty unit like the Water Cube 100 hardened. It can produce up to 120 gallons a day completely off-grid using solar or wind power, and it doesn't have a single pipe connected to the city. There are also smaller indoor units like the AquaBoy Pro 2 or the Ecolo Blue 30, which produce about 30 gallons a day. Families are securing an entirely independent source of drinking water straight from the ambient humidity in their living rooms. For those catching rainwater the old-fashioned way, the trick is hiding those massive collection tanks from the HOA. You have to use some ingenious architectural camouflage so the tanks just completely blend into the landscaping. You can utilize natural blind spots like corners and fences, erect elegant timber slot screens or custom feature walls, and then soften the whole outline with light greenery and planters. A lot of people also opt for slimline water tanks that press right up against side fences. The end result? A massive, self-sustaining water reserve that is virtually invisible from the street. Section 3. Odorless backyard composting. Managing waste. Managing waste goes hand in hand with food production, and DIYers are proving that you can process food scraps in a tiny suburban backyard without causing any horrible smells. By following a few exact steps, homeowners are building $50 invisible compost bins. You source a normal plastic trash can with a tight lid, drill some 1/8-inch holes for airflow, cut out the bottom entirely, and bury it about 4 inches deep with a central drain pipe. Whenever you add fresh food, you just cap it with soaked cardboard. To a passing neighbor, it literally just looks like an extra garbage can.
But the absolute most crucial point to making that invisible compost bin work perfectly is strictly adhering to the rules. Otherwise, you're going to accidentally open an all-you-can-eat buffet for the neighborhood raccoons. Never, ever compost meat or dairy. Exclude all cooked foods and avoid all fats and oils. You want to stick to things like eggshells, coffee grounds, and fruit peels, and always balance it out with brown materials like that soaked cardboard we just mentioned. If you follow those rules, the whole system breaks down beautifully and runs entirely smell-free.
Section 4. Navigating HOAs and zoning laws, the rule makers.
As this stealth off-grid movement grows, it is inevitably colliding with local governments and homeowners associations, which is creating a fascinating legal battleground. As an impartial explainer, we really need to look at both sides of this. On one hand, you have residents like Robin Rutan, who famously stated, "We've been regulated out of life." Residents from Colorado all the way to Nova Scotia are incredibly frustrated, feeling like they are being punished simply for trying to live a minimal, sustainable lifestyle. But on the flip side, local authorities and HOAs are fighting to maintain uniform safety standards, protect public health, and preserve neighborhood aesthetics.
The good news is, the laws are actually adapting to this new reality. Many states are officially permitting the safe reuse of greywater. That's the gently used water from your showers or laundry, which is perfect for flushing toilets or watering the garden. Arizona really led the way here with a progressive 3-tier system, where using under 400 gallons a day requires no permit at all. Texas exempts similar volumes for subsurface irrigation. Oregon uses a detailed 3-type system based on how the water is treated and used, while Florida still requires pretty strict structural compliance. But the big takeaway here is that the framework is genuinely shifting to safely accommodate sustainable living.
We are also seeing serious legislative pushback against strict aesthetic rules. Look at Texas Senate Bill 19.8. This law legally protects a homeowner's right to conserve water by specifically preventing an HOA from outright banning drought-resistant landscaping, rain barrels, or composting setups. Now, the HOA might still demand a little bit of aesthetic oversight, like they can ask you to paint the barrel to match your siding, but they legally cannot unreasonably deny your right to have it. That is a huge win for the stealth independence movement.
So taking a step back, why go through all this effort? Why bother building all these systems in a suburb where everything is already provided for you? Ultimately, what's really fascinating about this entire movement is that it isn't driven by paranoia or fear. It is driven by a profound desire for resilience and control in an unpredictable world. People want protection against fragile power grids. They want to escape continuously rising utility costs. They have a deep commitment to a low-footprint lifestyle. They don't necessarily want to reject modern life. They just want a version of it that actually functions, even if the fragile systems holding everything together fail. And the most surprising part? These people are your local teachers, engineers, and parents. They were living perfectly ordinary suburban lives just with extraordinary backup systems quietly running behind the scenes.
So, the next time you take a walk through your neighborhood and hear nothing but the quiet, peaceful hum of suburbia, you really have to wonder, what extraordinary off-grid systems are silently running right next door? Take a close look at your street. How many of your neighbors do you think are already secretly unplugged? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.